This is a part 2 of the video I did 15 years ago when I bought this Thorn Sherpa. I've recently upgraded it to a Rohloff hub. So the first thing I did was to contact Thorn and ask them, hey, can I convert my Thorn Sherpa to a Rohloff hub? And they said, no, you can't. You need to buy the brand new frame, which I believe is the Thorn Nomad. So I'm here to show that that's false. So the first thing we should look at is the side where the gear changing happens. The first thing that I want to mention is basically this: when you pedal with a Rohloff hub, there is a counter torque in this direction on the other side, which requires a torque arm or something to prevent this movement from happening. This little bracket here is basically screwed into the hub. And there's 3 types that I know of, which I have here. One of them is this one, which can hook into a disc brake mount. And there is this one that basically slides into a these oversized dropouts, and basically this little square bit in here prevents the torque from happening. However, the Thorn Sherpa doesn't have these long elongated dropouts, and it doesn't have disc brake mounts. So the only choice you have is this torque arm here, which the equivalent of this thing is here, which has 2 holes, which the torque arm hooks onto, and then it hooks onto the stay here. I thought about, maybe I'll just improvise it and put my own solution to prevent the torquing, but it's such a major part of it, and I didn't want to deviate from what they suggest in the user's manual. So the next thing I should talk about is the drivetrain. So basically, you have no choice with the Thorn Sherpa to use a chain with a chain tensioner. The reason for this is that the dropouts for the Thorn Sherpa are vertical. If you had track dropouts, horizontal ones, you could go without a chain tensioner, because you can basically pull the wheel back a few millimeters and create tension in the chain. But we don't have that. And we don't have either what's called, I think, an eccentric bottom bracket. I don't know much about them. I've seen several videos, but basically it's like a lopsided bottom bracket unit that basically you can rotate the whole crank forward, and by that act create tension in the chain, which would allow you not to use a chain tensioner. With one of those bottom brackets, you can also very easily adjust the chain line by moving it back and forth like that. But Thorn Sherpa doesn't have that. So you're left with basically a chain with a chain tensioner. You also cannot have a belt drive on here, because again, with the same problem with the tensioning, I don't think belt drives have belt tensioners. And also for a belt drive, you would need a brake into the seat stay in order to pass the belt through, which we don't have. And I think they make breakable belt drives, I've heard, but I don't know anything about them, or even if they truly exist. So basically for the chain line, I have, it's a bit hard to see here, but an external bottom bracket with 2 washers here with a crank that allows for 3 chain rings. And if I put the chain ring on the outside, it basically aligns up perfectly with the cog in the back. So you get a perfect chain line. I don't know if I can show it. Yeah, it doesn't. It's not the greatest shot. Anyways, but you can take my word for it. And that's what you have for drive side. So back on the gear changing side. Not sure if that's the official name for it, but you get the idea. Let's go on a little trip and follow the cable. Oh, one thing I should mention also is that with this position here, the torque arm barely fits. It barely fits. There's like a micrometer of space between this unit here and the torque arm. So quite lucky. You could rotate this whole thing up, but for me I couldn't do it because it would get in the way of the rack, which I really like because it's a tubeless rack, which I'm fond of. So let's follow the cable here, and I've got this nifty frame bag that allows the cable to go under these elastic things, so it holds it really snug, which leads us to the shifter. Now, with this really ugly homemade solution, which actually works quite well. Now, the reason for this is that the Rohloff shifter is built for straight bars. So it just slides right into a straight bar, but I have drop bars, and this frame is designed for drop bars. So you're left in the dust a little bit and on your own to figure out a solution of how to mount the shifter. I'll put in the description a website that offers solutions to having a Rohloff shifter with drop bars. And one of them is this Van Nicola drop bar that breaks apart. So it breaks apart, and you can slide in the shifter and then put it back together and then hook it on. But I tried to order it, and the shipping was more expensive than the drop bars, so I said forget it. Since this solution works pretty well, I just have 2 bolts, a piece of wood, and I just slide the shifter onto it, and that's it. And it's really snug, and it works fine. So a bit of a supplemental. In part 1 video, I had these things called power grips, and I quickly got rid of them to put just flat pedals with regular cages. I really like them, and the power grips, I found that they're good for cycling in the city, but when you're on the bike for 8 hours, it kind of cuts the circulation in your foot, and kind of your foot gets numb. So I got rid of them. And for the most controversial piece, the saddle, which I had a Brooks saddle in the previous video, which I got rid of after many thousands of kilometers because I was tired of getting an 8-hour wedgie. So I've switched to this really expensive saddle, which is super comfortable and is called a Bontrager. Not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but they're expensive, but it's really the most comfortable bike seat I've ever had. That said, it's not necessarily comfortable, but it is the most comfortable I've ever had. So in conclusion, I really love this bike. The setup is really great. I take it out all the time. The one thing I don't quite like with Rohloff hubs is that you must stop pedaling when you're changing gears unless you want to get some really nasty noises. And, being so expensive, I really didn't like the way it sounded. When you try to pedal plus changing gears, it sounds really awful. So now I just stop pedaling when I switch gears. Apparently in the manual it does say you can pedal and switch gears, but I don't like doing it. The last thing I should mention is that if you're in Canada and you're looking to buy a Rohloff hub, I bought mine through Spoke Wrench, which is owned by a guy by the name of Alan Wu. Super nice guy. He set me up with the wheel, the back wheel, and the hub, and answered all my questions. And I'll put a link to his site in the description. Bye for now.